Hi, this is VirtualFab. Today we will see VGDD version 10 in action with the latest Harmony. Let's create a new project for Harmony, and then we will convert it to a PIC24 platform. Harmony needs the project to be in its path, so we will use Harmony apps subfolder. Let's create a VGDD multi-platform demo project, and the configuration we will use a PIC32MX with the USB starter kit 2 and an LCC pigtail graphics board with a wide QVGA display. The PIC on the USB starter kit is the 795, and let's start the project. As you can see, MPLAB X launches the MPLAB Harmony configurator. As first thing, we will use the BSP support, which is already present in the default configuration for MPLAB X, and the right BSP to choose is this one, the PIC32MX USB starter kit 2 with the LCC pigtail and WQVGA glass. Now let's configure Harmony graphics library. So let's select it. We won't use MPLAB Harmony graphics composer because VGDD is an alternative to this one. And we will use fonts in internal flash memory. We will use images in internal program flash memory. We will use RLE decode compression. We will use gold widgets, almost everyone. So let's select button, checkbox, edit box, group box, list box, the picture, progress bar, radio button, scroll bar, static text. Okay, we will use some gradient special effects, so let's enable it. And as input device, we will use a touchscreen. And for it to work, we need to configure the driver in the touch section and enable the ADC 10-bit driver. That's all. So we can save our configuration and generate code. This creates almost complete application with all the needed framework files. What the graphical part will be done via VGDD. So let's start VGDD by clicking on play in the VGDD link plugin. This on Windows machine will start VGDD automatically. I have to switch to my virtual environment. As you can see, I already opened an existing demo project. Let's check its settings by going in project settings. Let's check that the selected framework is the correct one. It is. And the GRC path, which doesn't exist in the latest Harmony version, we will have to use the latest one available, which is in Harmony version 103.01. Only the GRC is needed from this platform, from this framework. Let's confirm, and the default screen size is already the correct one. The compiler is selected is X32, and the 16 bit per pixel is already selected. So let's click on OK. As you can see, in VGDD 10, the MPLAB X wizard is grayed out when you are using Harmony platform framework, because all the hardware setup is done via the already done via the MPLAB configurator. So let's simply save the project and generate code. Let's connect to the plugin. the VGD plugin, the version in the minimum version is 0.14 for VGDD 10 to work correctly. As you can see, the selected config is the right one. The framework is okay. The code will be generated in the new option in the selected config folder, which allows for separate multi-platform projects. So let's click on generate code, checking that the graphical resources will be converted. This was checked for my previous test. Let's click generate code. Quickly the graphics are converted. So let's go back to MPLAB X, and as you can see, a new logical folder has been added with all the needed graphics and event. I use advanced widgets whose source is injected by VGDD. And let's click on play, selecting the starter kit. We can see the application running on the real hardware. Okay, that's all for now. Now we want to migrate this application to a PIC24 DA210 platform, a 16-bit platform. So we need to create a new configuration, a new MPLAB X configuration. Let's go to Manage Configurations, duplicate the existing one, rename it. We will use a PIC24 DA210 development board with the same class WQEGA, and let's set it active. Okay, now we have to modify this configuration by changing the PIC part, and select the DA210, which I recently used, as you can see, and selecting the XC16 latest compiler and the hardware programmer, which will be a Realize programmer. Let's click on apply. Now the MPLAB X configurator is complaining that it can't do anything, so let's cancel this action, because we are on a completely different platform, and this will be our configuration. Let's click on OK, and as usual, MPLAB X is hard to OK. This is the new configuration. The old source files from the original configuration must be set disabled from the build process, so we have to go to properties and exclude all of them, both in the app, in the BSP and the framework folders. So this is now something like an empty project, and all the needed files will be injected as usual by VGDD. So let's switch back to VGDD, change the project settings, telling it selecting the MLA framework, which is for PIC24, use framework, check the GRC path, which is its own. It's okay. As you can see, XC16 is already selected, so let's go on. Now we will use the original MPLAB X wizard for this platform. project, as you can see, is correctly selected and the correct configuration is selected. The option will help us to keep sources separated from the PIC32 solution. So let's select the generate source files in MPLAB X selected config folder as before. The hardware will be the DA210 with the power tip display. In the option we have to check that graphics object layer support is checked because we use widgets, and the NVOM option is selected because the touch screen needs to store the calibration data. And for the DA210, one of these options has to be checked because to use external memory frame for frame buffer is needed because we are using a large display. So let's click on modify project, and finally generate the graphic code. Let's check don't convert, unselect don't convert. We need it to regenerate the graphics files. Let's go back to MPLAB X. As you can see, two new folders have been added: the application MLA with its own system config and all the needed files, and the framework MLA with the framework files. Let's make a cleanup and make a complete build. Okay, so now let's switch the hardware. I connect the same display to the DA board and connect the power. Okay, and in MPLAB X let's click run. The Realize is programming the board, and the same application is running on a completely different platform. The animation is active because in PIC32 I didn't configure the timer, the tick timer needed for the animation so it's here it is by default activated by VGDD wizard, and so it is working. As you can see, the same application as before, but on a completely different hardware. We could change the display and migrate the application, and maybe I'll make a new video for that. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.